always think my seniors have been able to do over the years, so will I. I will ask around. I might fumble, I might not win everything, but I'm going to learn. Because the most important thing is we as lawyers are forever learners and students of law.
Hello and welcome everyone. We are here once again with another interesting session with the Superlawyer team. And guess what? Today's session is going to be so interesting and especially focused on the various aspects of litigation because we have today Advocate Prachi Pratap ma'am. Welcome ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us some time. Thank you so much for joining us. For all our viewers, a brief intro on Prachi ma'am. Prachi Pratap ma'am has studied law from University of Lucknow. She's a partner with Pratap and Company, a law firm based out of Delhi, and has diverse litigation experience in High Court, Supreme Court of India, also representing clients in various high courts, tribunals, NGT, NCDRC, NCLAT. She counsels, advises, represents her clients on legal matters in relation to civil and criminal matters, company matters, IBC, service matters, matrimonial dispute, family matters, and the list goes on. The list, however, does not stop here because she has been keynote speaker, panel member, panelists on various important talk shows, training programs, some of which deal with the new criminal laws as well. We are sure that we are going to have an amazing session today. Welcome once again, ma'am.
Thank you for having me here, Akash, and team of Superlawyer by LawSikho. It's really nice to be here because I've followed you all for such a long time and kind of an honor to be interviewed here.
Same this side, ma'am. Thank you so much. So moving ahead, ma'am, your incredible success in the field of litigation fascinates us all. How did you decide that law was your calling? And specifically, why litigation? If you may elaborate, ma'am.
So I joined law pretty late. I did history honors, then I did MBA. I moved abroad, moved back to India, and I decided I wanted to study law. At that time, I was working with a lot of social enterprise sector and nonprofits I was working with, and I realized that at grassroots level, it was always law which was causing issues. People were not aware of law. Most importantly, people were not aware. And since they were not aware of the law, there was a lot of policy paralysis at ground level. Policy implementation will happen only when people know what their rights are. Justice will happen only when people know what their rights are. So when I noticed that gap, I had enrolled into studying law. I got married, I had a daughter, and I still decided I have to study law just to understand law. That was the only goal at that point, not to practice. But having said that, when I started studying, I just got so engrossed in it that it felt like litigation was the true calling, and I eventually became a litigating lawyer. There have been times when I thought that I might just make a switch towards public policy or policy making. However, so far I have felt that litigation is a better personal option for me because I'm able to bring forth changes to the individual I'm representing, to the people I'm representing pro bono, to the consultation I'm offering, as well as I'm able to spread legal awareness, which is a very important part of what I'm doing. Because my legal awareness is never as a bait. It is purely for the purpose of people to know what their rights are. Often I'm told I should not be doing it because you're just spreading out all the awareness for free. People charge for it, but it's okay. Somewhere we have to give back to the society, and litigation gives you both the option of doing pro bono and for yourself also. So you're able to take care of yourself and you're able to take care of others. So that kind of works well with me. That's how it happened. And one lesser known point is my daughter had a major citizenship issue. That is when I was still studying law. And that was alongside everything that kept me going to keep learning law. Her citizenship issue was resolved, and I'm a lawyer.
That's really interesting to hear, ma'am, because at the beginning of our careers, many of us are confused. We might have graduated in something else, looking out for law as an option. And when experienced, successful people like you narrate your personal insights that how you guys landed up and how truly this was a professional calling with all the personal factors, professional factors, some internal, some external factors, this journey for us becomes an educational experience as well. Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. I'll move on with the next question. Ma'am, you have represented clients in a diverse forum, various tribunals, courts, and everything. How has it added to your legal acumen in the field? And at the same time, how have you perceived these differences in the different fora that you have represented clients?
Definitely, it's a blessing to be able to represent clients in different fora. I know there are a lot of time people ask me, youngsters ask me, whether they should go into corporate, they should go into civil, criminal, constitutional. But I feel a person should be open initially to try everything, because that is where we learn different things. And we also realize that things are interrelated. Every time you're going into a forum, you are learning more, you are able to give more of yourself, and you realize where you're lacking. I also, every time, there's something new that comes to me, I also get jitters. I also get, will I be able to handle it? But then I always think, my seniors have been able to do over the years, so will I. I will ask around. I might fumble, I might not win everything, but I'm going to learn. Because the most important thing is, we as lawyers are forever learners and students of law. So being able to represent in diverse fora makes me learn the law better. I'm able to explain it better to clients the next time something comes. A lot of time people are like, they want to just be into NCLAT practice, or they just want to be into white collar crime practice. But I suggest, till the time you're 40, 50, try everything. You don't have to get into a specialization initially. You don't have to aim that, no, this is what I have to do so that I get my senior badge, senior gown. No, try as much as possible, because that is how we are going to learn. That is how we are going to be better lawyers. And the more you get to know, the more clients are going to come, and you will be able to constantly keep representing. Because see, when we come across our seniors, they have the knowledge. It's not that the seniors are not going to NCLAT. It's not that the seniors are not going to other forums. They are. So I personally feel that kind of helps sharpen our legal sword the more we represent in different forums. In fact, some people say to me, oh, you don't take trial matters. Lesser known facts, I do. I do represent a lot of, I'm not saying I do represent a lot at lower level, but if something comes, like there's some transit anticipatory bail is there, or even NRI clients, I represent a lot of NRI clients. So that goes from all the forums. I was just talking to somebody the other day about Violence Against Women Act in US, and over the years I have learned and specialized in it. It's not that I've done a course in it. So represent as much as you can. That is what I've learned from my seniors. Don't say no to cases initially.
Thank you, ma'am. That sums up your experience and at the same time gives us a very motivational input that we should try out everything and not restrict ourselves at the initial phases of the career. Somewhat on these lines, ma'am, your cases range from corporate to criminal, even matrimonial. Which is your favorite area based on your present experience? And why do you think that particular area has interested you the most?
I love all. Everything is challenging. I always say every case has its own unique DNA. They are not same, because every person has their own unique life experiences who you're representing. So every case has its own DNA. Nonetheless, I love criminal cases a lot. There's a very simple reason, because a lot of time criminal cases are delayed. Whichever act you pick up, NDPS, they're delayed. You pick up even matrimonial criminal cases, delays are there. And what happens with delays is there is a lot of under trials who are in prison. So for me, bail has been a very important aspect of criminal cases. I'm a very pro bail person. I feel that a person should not be wrongfully incarcerated even for one extra day. And this is something I'm not talking about just with my practice in India. Even a couple of months ago in February, there was a case. I was representing someone through a set of lawyers in US, and the person was incarcerated, and the lawyer said, it will be just a couple of days. I said, look, I have a simple policy. A person should not be wrongfully incarcerated even for one extra day, because it is going to psychologically affect them. Post-traumatic stress happens in prisonization also. Prisonization is a concept I've spoken at length about, and I suggest everybody to read judgments of Justice Ravindra Bhatt when they want to know more about bails and prisonization, because you need to have a certain empathy. Empathy is not something that lawyers have, but you need to have as far as bail matters are concerned. And oftentimes people will say criminal lawyers need not have empathy, but they need to have empathy to be better criminal lawyers, to be better able to argue till the end to get a bail, because every bail is important. Our prisons do not have capacity, they are beyond capacity. And only convicts are the ones who are working in jails. Under trial prisoners, everything for them is going through the taxpayers' money. And then they're psychologically affected. They have to get back into society. So I love criminal law. because there is so much injustice that happens. I'm not just talking about criminal laws in terms of criminals, I'm also talking about the women who are suffering. For me, criminal law is one aspect where I'm able to give back more to society. And I'm sorry, I still come from the point where I need to earn for myself, but I also simultaneously have to give back to others. I constantly have to pay it forward. So yeah, it's definitely criminal law.
I'm sure your interest in criminal law and your diversification in these matters comes from your own personal calling to join law, because there has been a side of you, a particular part of you that has wanted to work for social causes, and that's why you have delved into the subject. So I just think that these things have aligned for you a lot. Ma'am, I really appreciate, and I know everyone will appreciate how you have drawn this balance that yes, earning is a part of the profession, but at the same time, giving back to society and doing these things should be balanced hand in hand. Thank you so much for elaborating on this from such a practical standpoint, ma'am. Moving ahead, ma'am, how do you think lawyers should remain updated in this particular time, both technologically as well as with the ongoing transformative legal developments in our country and abroad?
That's a very important question because I always say that I am not tech savvy. Having said that, our Honorable Chief Justice has made all of us tech savvy. He has made us all use iPads, things that we, as we grow older, I'm 40, so we are hesitant to switch to technology. Personally, I feel law is a good profession in terms we always have people who are junior to us, interns who are there, who constantly help us get acquainted with technology or wherever we are stumbling. As far as tech is concerned, I'm always asking help from my juniors or interns to help me, my daughter to help me, because if we are not in touch with technology, we won't be able to get ahead. So this was just the aspect where we using technology is concerned. Other than that, technology is definitely going to play a major role. We have read it in books by Saska, and he has talked about it even before COVID. He said that virtual courts will come, and it is the reality. Virtual courts help me make my work easy because I'm able to represent clients in various high courts. So that helps me. Virtual court also help me when I have a client abroad. I log in, I'm there, the lawyer who's representing is there. So, I'm in touch with that. And as far as legal developments, that is extremely important because our seniors also did it. They would always read Scale or other updates that come. Scale, I know a lot of people don't read anymore, but it is important to constantly update yourself with the latest judgments. In fact, I was visiting Allahabad a couple of months ago, and this lawyer said to me that he reads judgments at the end of the day. And I said, that's exactly what one of our seniors has taught us, that you have to read judgments at the end of the day. And I also find myself just going through so many websites are there which are covering legal news. I'm not going to take names, but it is so easy for us to just read legal news and keep ourselves updated, because whatever is happening in a high court is also equally important as what is the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court. Then you're able to draw parallels, you're able to see the direction in which the judgments or society in general is going. And one has to be updated on the judgment, because you don't want to be stuck in a place where you're sitting with a bunch of lawyers or you are in a client meeting and then you are doing the research. Because if you have updated yourself, you would immediately remember that I read something like this. And how I keep myself updated is I have some laws where the, say, NDPS section 37, we often have judgments coming on that. So I would write down. I write down. I'm not the kind of person who is very tech savvy in that sense. I do have a docx page now, but I also write down. And along with that, it is very important that you keep maintaining a chart of latest judgments. I'm sure some people can just bookmark and do that. But if you have it written with your own interpretation, it will be easier for you to access. Because see, it's very simple. I'll just say that client counseling is not something a lot of emphasis is put on when we are in law school, but that is something extremely important for us to learn. And one of the ways when you're doing client counseling is for you to be able to access the data. And if you are daily in the habit of reading judgments and you have made a consolidated list of judgments, you will be able to be better at handling your clients, better at solving their problems, and better when you're making your SLPs. So yeah, both are extremely important. And now with all your websites and all, we are in good hands.
Thank you, ma'am. Definitely, it's the aim of every law portal now to keep websites updated and keep everyone updated with the latest developments. And I would also like to thank you for combining these two areas of upskilling, staying updated, and being well versed during client counseling conferences and sessions. Many people ignore the client counseling aspects, and it is so important to stay updated and at the same time represent ourselves as being updated. Ma'am, recently Telangana High Court has applauded your webinar on cybersecurity laws and these regulations, discussing the roadmap for India. So, ma'am, how do you think cyber awareness can be spread in these changing times, when you yourself have also mentioned that a lot of people are sort of resistant towards change, or they take time for this change to set in? In these times, how should we be more cyber aware and safe?
Cyber awareness is definitely extremely important. I would say when I started to think about it was when my daughter during COVID was supposed to have access, unlimited access to internet. And that is where I realized all the possible issues that are coming, and she needs to be cyber aware. I'm not saying it is just important for the younger generation or the older generation. It's important for people of middle age like me. All of us need cyber awareness. And in India now, with the huge population we have and the access that, and not just access, I would say dependability that we are having on technology. It's something as simple as paying your bills using UPI, your bank accounts are connected, everybody's accessing social media. There is a major need for cyber awareness. I know the government is doing its part, and a lot of time people say that NGOs are not needed to do this, but I personally feel that it is responsibility of everybody who is aware to tell the other person about the awareness part. Because something as simple as I've always come across, up to there is more awareness, but say something when we were living during the time of pandemic, a major chunk of my messages were full of women who did not know how to handle online voyeurism, online harassment, online sexual harassment, or on workplace harassment. Even on online workplaces, there were harassment or abusive messages that would come on social media. So at that time, reporting a cybercrime was not as popular as it is now. All people would do was block a person or report to the social media platform. Now they know that they have to inform the cybercrime department. They can even send an email. So these awareness have gradually been conveyed to people. And I feel lawyers are very important in spreading it. Everybody has Instagram. Spread the awareness. You have to just spread it out, because depending upon the government to spread is not going to happen, because see, government, not everybody is accessing the websites or government ads. So personally, I feel it is extremely important, because we have come across abhi beech mein the cases of electricity frauds. People were getting messages for wrong bills, wrong links were coming. So cyber awareness spread is extremely important in these changing times. Also because in BNS, under organized crime, we have cybercrime added for the first time. Now we are not completely dependent on the IT Act. These are the things people are not aware of. These are the information we have to spread out. Key. Now the ambit is increasing because there's just one term, cybercrime, and that will keep increasing. That doesn't even need to be changed for another 10 years. That will cover a lot of crimes. But people need to know this right exists.
Thank you for elaborating in details. Ma'am, you have worked for many social causes, NGOs, as is evident from your profile. How has it shaped your vision about the intersectionality of laws with social justice issues?
See, intersectionality of law often becomes, of course, a policy issue. So I'm not going to cover that part. But as far as social justice is concerned, I personally feel now we see more of it in play, thanks to the judiciary, thanks to the people who are taking up more causes. Recently, this whole big debate has been going on about physically disabled and all not being able to do a lot of things. But we see something as simple as the example of Mitti Cafe in Supreme Court, where we are giving people an opportunity, or we are coming across lawyers who are a blind lawyer who's arguing, and a lot of things are happening. But as far as intersectionality of law is concerned, definitely is a major policy matter. So I'm not going to say more on it, because I would not be keen on saying. But as far as my work and NGOs is concerned and working with social causes is concerned, I feel more such cases are being taken up. More people are willing to represent all those who are marginalized. So major changes have happened, and more changes are going to happen, especially with the new criminal laws. We will see that more things are going to be questioned and changed over the years, in the next 5 to 10 years.
So we are definitely in for more robust changes in the attitudes, and you definitely find the new criminal laws also to be a promising start to that. Thank you, ma'am. You have delivered amazing sessions on CSR, women, climate issues. So with all these and your awareness and activism, which social cause drives you, if you need to pick one, and empowers you the most, and why?
It's mostly women and child related issues because being a mother and being a mother of a girl child, I always come across those issues to be anything related to that to be affecting me more. And that drives me. It has driven me since, as I mentioned earlier, it has driven me since I fought for my daughter's citizenship issue, and I have fought for it for a very, very long time, both with the US government and the Indian government, to establish this is my daughter's citizenship or this is her right and this is that. So I fought for a very long time. So definitely, I see that me being an educated person, me who has lawyers in the family or who has friends who are lawyers, even though I'm a first generation lawyer, since a person like me has struggled so much, who had access, then there are so many more who are struggling. And that kind of drives me the most. Even something I've talked about it a few months ago. As a mother, when my daughter had injuries, then I realized she had a knee injury and she was wheelchair ridden. That's when I realized that Delhi itself is not that accessible for wheelchair users or people with disabilities. Forget about going to a tier 2 or tier 3 city. So when you start seeing the society from your own lenses where you're standing, then you start empathizing. Instead of complaining, we have to see as to what is wrong and how we can move forward to change it. And if we are not able to change it, to divert it in a way that it can be more beneficial. Maybe if we are not able to bring forth the change ourselves, we can initiate a dialogue about it. That can help bring small changes, or it can help recognize the people or be a voice for people who are suffering or help them be seen. Because a lot of time people are not at all seen. Like, I talk a lot about working mothers, and I come across a lot of working mothers who empathize with it, because see, the rights of working women have been jeopardized a lot. You will come across a lot of cases where the moment a woman is pregnant, what the corporates are doing is they would reduce her salary so that the maternity leave salary that she gets, that is reduced. Or we come across a lot of discrimination in paramilitary and armed forces. We used to get a lot of cases we would get in CISF and BSF where women were not given promotion because they chose to be a mother. So that is why women and child rights are amongst the most driven one for me, whether it's POXO or whether it's dowry, domestic violence, all of it. Because we will say, "Acha, dowry ab utna nahi hota hai," but dowry is still there, a menace in society. Having said that, I'm not completely a feminist. I always say, and I'll use your platform also to say, that domestic violence in India, as well as abroad, but in India, is being misused a lot. The righteous women who need it are the ones who are victims of dowry killing. The women who don't need are the ones who are abusing the law and filing false cases against men. So I am a woman who stands for women's rights, but not for the false rights.
Very aptly summarized, ma'am. With your involvement in so many activities, in so many cases, in your seminars, talk shows, and everything, how do you manage the hectic work life with your personal space? And would you like to talk about any hobbies or interests along with that?
I would say that I always say there is no work-life balance and there is no personal space as such. I do get my personal space in the morning because I realize that to have my personal space, I need to wake up early and carve that space. I read in the morning. That's something that I need for me. And that is not at all law related. It is personal stuff that helps me grow or helps change my mindset. As far as hobbies are concerned, I was thinking of returning to some sports that I would do earlier. But a lot of my time revolves around being a mother. Now that my daughter no longer stays in India with me, it's different. But finding a personal space is very difficult for lawyers. But I feel we all need to have some hobbies. For me, it's a lot about books, gardening, and I love to go for monument walks and all of those. But one needs to balance, because I have always said law causes a lot of compassion fatigue. We think that compassion fatigue is only for medical professionals or people in military and armed forces, but lawyers are constantly taking other people's problems unto themselves. And it is very, I would say, even when you are taking, say, if you're hearing a child abuse case or one of those cases, you will take that problem into yourself. Even if you might smile, but somewhere it is getting ingrained in your system. So there is a lot of compassion fatigue. So that has to be balanced. Whatever hobby can help you get out of it, do that. And personally, my hobbies currently, everything revolves around my daughter. So that's the only thing I do in my free time.
Being a mother is also a full-time job, and
I
litigation
love
is
it.
also a full-time job. So it's two full-time jobs which are balancing so well together. So, ma'am, what would be your advice for the young lawyers who aspire to build a career in this field, and specifically for the ones who want to venture into litigation?
See, for the young lawyers who want to venture into litigation or just any young lawyers, first things first, don't say no to any case. That is what I have learned from my seniors, and I constantly say we cannot say no to clients initially in our career because every client is important. Even if they're not paying you when you're starting, do it, because the late PP Rao sir would say the client who gives you money is Annadata, and the client who does not pay you is Bhagyavidhata. And I have imbibed that. So go ahead. And even if you're doing free client counseling, consider it as your pro bono. You're sharing experience. Not everybody is going to pay. And the reason I say is because not every lawyer gets the opportunity to be a legal aid lawyer. I know legal aid looks good on your curriculum vitae and everything, but despite that, even if you don't have the opportunity to be a legal aid lawyer, go ahead and do it. Secondly, as I said, make it a habit to read judgments daily, write them down. See, in 10 years, you will have such a repository, such good experience, such good knowledge, and you will be able to understand why you did it in the first place. It is going to constantly sharpen your sword. Network as much as possible, because these are the things we are not taught in law school. How to network, how to listen to people, that we are not supposed to be the ones who are doing all the talking. We have to be doing more of the listening. Simultaneously, draw your nuggets of wisdom also, because you don't want the person on the other side not knowing what you do. So don't say no to meeting people. It is extremely important. First generation lawyers face a lot of disappointments. I did too. But eventually, it all works out for all of us. Other than that, join a senior, extremely important. Everybody needs a mentor. Even if you don't have a mentor or a senior, ask people, because I have never come across a senior who's not willing to advise you or guide you. कोई केस नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, जाके पूछ लो, दो लोगों से पूछो, तीन लोगों से पूछो, they will tell you. Somebody or the other is always going to tell. So these are the some basic things that I have learned over the years that helped me become a lawyer. Even still, I go ahead and ask, because see, I'm 40. I don't have the experience of a senior who is 70. So what's the hesitation? I'm learning. They were also 40 once upon a time. They all understand. So these are the basics. I also tell my daughter, if she ever decides to be a lawyer, that is how we are going to learn. There's no hesitation in being a first generation lawyer. It's a blessing.
That is a, I must say, motivational chant for us all, that being a first generation lawyer is nothing disadvantageous. It's a blessing also. Lastly, on a personal note, since you have your own brother and sister and people at your place also into litigation, also into the field of law, how do you value the importance of social groups, whatever social groups and these social relationships, in your personal success stories?
It's extremely important. We are absolutely the result of our environment, and that comes from the social group we keep. If you're going to hang around with people who are more pessimistic, who are not interested in law per se, but who are interested in 20 other gossips, you're going to become like that. If you're going to be hanging around with people who are ambitious, who are constantly going to, you know, even point at your own flaws. Like with my siblings, if we notice that somebody is lacking behind, we will tell each other. And it's not just that. It would be my sister. When we initially started, she would always say, you need to do more drafting, or this needs to be done on time, or something as simple as siblings, whenever one of us puts on weight, we will tell the other, you need to join the gym, go lose weight. Because see, it's something as simple. You gain weight, you need energy to be in the court. You have to do a lot of running around, and you need energy to sit and do your work also. So weight gain is not needed for a lawyer, but you need people around you. Basically, what I'm trying to say, you need people around you who are honest with you. You're not getting annoyed that, oh, how did they say it to me? And I'm not saying, see, I have the blessing of having my siblings. People don't have that blessing. Make those social groups who are honest with you, who push you to be a better person. Because not just we need to be applauded for how well we are doing, but we need to be told where we are wrong, so that we can fill that gap and rise to be a better person. Because at the end of it, the goal is to be best. And to be better every day, we have to realize where our flaws are lying, and we have to work harder. Because say you achieve a level of success in your career, to maintain that, you have to work harder. And to get ahead of that, you have to work even harder than that. Because there are constantly going to be influx of people who are going to be smarter. And I feel every next generation, every next bunch of lawyers, they're mind-blowing. This generation is incredible. People may think the generation is not serious, but I feel the knowledge of every young generation is far much better than what we have. Their ideas, their ability to work harder, their focus. So it's important to have a good social group around you. And the social group should not be just people your age or your batch. There should be people who are older to you. There should be people who are younger to you. That is how you're going to have a balanced approach to society. And they should not just be lawyers. They should be people from all walks and all fields. That is how we are going to learn and grow.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have highlighted such an important thing. Ma'am, this interview session today was a personal enriching experience for me. And the parting note was also wonderful. You also emphasize that being a first-gen lawyer is also a blessing. And it's all about the attitude. It's all about our mindset, that how we navigate our way through and how we choose our people, how we keep reading, keep upskilling, and try to better ourselves. With people like you who emphasize on awareness building, who consciously work on awareness building, I'm sure that the country as a whole, the generation as a whole, and when we enter the fraternity, the young legal fraternity as a whole, will develop with a lot of resilience and dedication. Thank you once again, ma'am, for sparing some time out of your busy schedule and interacting with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.